a little precarious right there. I have one leg on that frame. It's painted red to mark it. It's a little bent. I need to straighten it, but I got to get a hammer to force that one over a little bit, and it'll set right down on there. I'll be right back. All right, typically I put that piece on the bottom when I set up, but I'm gonna grab a bar, see if I can move it a little bit. All right, so project next is working on these windows, getting them wrapped and getting the windows set and trimmed out, because it's getting all done as a set with probably use hardy trim, like a 1-inch, 5/4 or whatever, and that'll create a horizontal band stopping point for the board and bat that goes up there. So I don't have enough scaffolding to span that whole distance. For reference, that windowsill is 20 feet off the floor of the building. So, 20 and a half feet out here. So my plan is to use that scaffolding, go up, do what I can for half of it as far as the paper and prep, and set the window. I couldn't get them to go acute on the windows for that size. So what I settled on was I think I explained this when I was framing those in, but these are 6-footers, and that is framed at a 7-foot there at an 8/12. So what I'm gonna do is block it out there, so there'll be a vertical portion there at 6 feet, and everything will line up visually, which is fine. It doesn't really lose any light. I think I'll either wire or rope that set together, or maybe use pins to pin the sections together, so that I can then use the crane to move it over, and then consequently move it to the other side to do the same. But we'll get this ready, set the window, set the scaffolding up, move the crane over, prep that, set the window. Yeah, move the scaffold over, set the window, prep it and set the window, and then do the trim, and then move it back to do the trim on that side, whatever we can't reach. We may be able to split between the scaffold and a ladder and get by with just centering the scaffolding, but I want to set the window first anyway, so it's gonna be something like that. I also need to, just for safety, is to push, tie the scaffolding to the wall somehow with a screw or rod or something, so it doesn't push away when I'm working on it. Okay, so we need a square end. I got a 4x block to fill in the outside out flush with sheeting, so I don't have to put a separate piece of that on there. But I want to block out the inside with a piece of 2x6 to the long point. So we have to fill in 1 foot. So it'll be 1 foot minus the 1.5 inches for the 2x, so it'll be 10.5. And then what we'll do is say, hey Siri, what is 10.5 divided by 12 times 8?
10 plus 1 over 2 divided by 12 times 8 is 7.
So in 10.5, that will rise 7 inches for an 8/12. Check it. Even though there's a little short point there, I can shove this down until that gets there without, so I can recycle the hard cut. Two more. Yeah, that didn't go horribly. And we're up there. I'll just go up and pull it up from there. Okay, that went pretty good. Couple staples in there to keep that stuff from peeling if it wants to. I think we're in good shape. I'll get all that measured up. I think the next thing to do would be to release the wall ties. Probably move this plank down, get the sections tied or pinned together, and then get it moved with the crane. I think the way it's set, if I rig one strap in the middle, it should work pretty good. I can just move it over and do the same thing over there. We'll take a crack at it anyway. We'll figure it out. Okay, we're operational. All right, we're getting these tied together here and there. I got one more to do on this level. Then I'm gonna go up and do that level. And I got straps. And you can see I'm about less than a foot off the wall, but this is, I don't know, 5 foot wide. So the center of it is really close to where I can grab it there. And certainly when I let it down over there, I should be able to tip it in at the bottom and then lower it in and let it rock into place. The trick will be keeping it on a board when I get it over there, but we'll get it. Okay, I got that second window in. No dramas there. I'm gonna park the crane and go get some trim. I got enough time to make it there, I think. Let's see, I don't know if I explained this, but I haven't used a crane for a while. I had a problem with a sticky brake drum just from sitting down around here in this coast air. So before, what I would do is I would run that up near to where the limit switch is set so it can't two block, and leave it there. And then when I'd fire it up in the morning, I'd start by running it down. But the brake drum was sticking a little bit and it wouldn't let it down. So now I leave it. Well, the reason I left it close to the top is so that if I had ever had to fold it up in an emergency, it wouldn't land on the ground. It wouldn't have a lot of slack played out. But now what I've realized is that if I leave it a little further down and then initiate the first use of it by going ahead on the winch, so it's not depending on gravity to pull the ball down, then if there is any interference at the brake band, then it'll just pull through as the winch pulls it up. And then when you go to reverse that and let it down with gravity, then or let the line play out, then it works just fine. So I'm gonna leave it there, and I am going to spin it back out over the parking area. Only used it for a few minutes today, but it was 110% value. Cranes are kind of funny. They go from being 100% asset to 100% liability as soon as you shut it off. Well, even while you're running it, but it's just kind of a tough business to be in. Okay, we're gonna go get some trim, and then we'll be back in the morning to start trimming that out and see about getting the scaffolding moved to the other side. Oh, I gotta get the pocket door frames off the truck. Hang on. Can't even tell they're in. Oh, I gotta shut the crane off. Okay, so I'm gonna keep warming up here, but I want to restack these windows, but I'll just take the upstairs ones up there to get them out of the way. Just kind of spread them out. All right, I feel like I cut that a hair long. I think, I don't know, I must have added something wrong, but I also need to get a little piece of paper right here. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'll double check the measurement from there. All right, slowly but surely, we're getting the trim on there. Got a little piece of Z metal there. And then I'm probably gonna cut the centerpiece so that I have something to land the rakes on. And I think when I cut the rakes, that stuff's pretty heavy, especially because that stuff's an inch instead of 3/4. I'll fly that up there with the crane and just set it across the top of the scaffold. I'm gonna have to chase them up there. I'm thinking ahead to how I can get that around the corner. I'm not sure I can fly that to the other side without taking it apart. Another season of growth on these alder trees here, and I'm not sure I'm gonna get through there with the boom for full rotation. Well, anyway, I'll go put that piece on and figure out what I'm gonna do. All right, here's the current state of affairs. We have scaffolding hanging from the crane. I can't swing anymore because there was a tree in the way. So I brought the forklift in and I've pushed the tree out of the way by plenty. Now we've lifted it up high above the forklift and now we need to swing out. There's one more tree in question, but I think I'm low enough in its canopy to swing around. So we're just gonna go that way. Real easy. And cross your fingers. Yep, that was easy. Okay, and we're out. What was the fuss all about? All right, since I'm in the clear there, I'm gonna let it down some. When I bumped into that tree, it kind of skewed it a little bit, so I'll see if I can rack it back before I move it to the other side. Okay, that side is framed in and wrapped up. I'm gonna get out of here, but I'll probably set that window first day I'm back and then move the scaffold over and do this side. I think that'd be simpler, and then I'll figure out how I'm gonna do the trim on it, in which order, but this side's going quicker. Okay, I got that window in. I forgot my level. I just got it tacked in there. I gotta go check it, make sure everything's good. That sun needs to climb up in the sky a little higher. I'm just getting drilled right there. Hopefully it goes away soon. Anyway, we'll get that one in and then move the scaffold over. Do the same thing on this side, and then we'll start trimming it out. All right, I'm trying to get that up there without swinging the crane, so I don't have to move it when I move the scaffolding again, but I have my ladder kind of trapped over there now, so I can't really take the window up that side. So, can you even see that? Oh, well, there it is. All right, that one's set, taped in, ready for trim. Good. So what I did was I've got, I don't know if I can see with the sun right there. I've got lower trim on, center trim on, right side of the trim is on. I couldn't reach safely to install the left-sided trim. So what I'm doing is I'm centering this up, and that'll stay there because I can work the far end off a ladder. And then when I get the siding trim, when the siding gets delivered, I can use the metal trim around the windows again from the center and the ladder on both sides. So this won't have to move for a while. Until that stuff comes in, at least at this point. So that's good. I'll go install that far side. It's hard to film that, so I won't. I'll just show you when I'm done. All right, minor goof right there. With the overall height of these headers, it worked out extremely close to having a pocket door work with a top plate and a double ghost header there. But as it turns out, I was about a 1/4 inch over. I thought I could get away with it, but the fastest way out of it is just to cut one piece of the header out, and then I'll probably replace it with some strips of 1 1/8" plywood, and the pocket door will slip right in there. I mean, I could also set it with just some shims, but I think I'll pack it out. They've changed these a little bit since the last time I put one in, but it's all kind of the same. Ended up leaving the packing out of the top. I'm gonna shim that. It was just too tight and not worth cutting 2 pieces of 1 inch to save an 1/8 inch, so I'll just put some a few shims up there. That end is fixed solidly. Okay, well, that's the 2 of them. They both went in about the same. I needed a little bit less shim on that side, no big deal. Those are in. And it acts as a safety rail there now too, so we're good with that. I'm gonna go frame for the one down below and install it too. I threw this up over here on this scaffolding so I can work on these windows and get those all taped in and ready to go. All right, that's wrapped in. The window will set, caulk in 3 sides, tape in 3 sides, then head flashing, then upper paper over that. I'm gonna go around and prep the 3 lower ones on the back side. I'm gonna wait to do the ones up on that dormer. I have to set up a scaffolding that hangs off those main rafters so that I can work on that over the top of that roof. So I'll probably do that. I'm gonna set these windows tomorrow and around the back and then work on that scaffolding. I think I have enough material here. I'll figure it out. Okay, I am ready for those 5 windows in the morning, and then I'll start working on the scaffolding up there to get those ones wrapped up and set. That was going so well, I didn't take time to set the camera up. So what I've done up here, built these little hoops, hung them off the main rafters, and I got a plank clearing the roof. That piece is 14 inches from the roof, so I got a little bit of working room, but I get a little side to side, so I'm gonna go up and brace those up real quick.